This episode of the Adam Carolla Show is brought to you by Simply Safe. Jay Leno has been gracious enough to come by the studio for my 4,000th
4,000 show, boy, 4, I tell you. And it just feels so special.
It does, doesn't it? A lot of pomp and circumstance around
it's unbelievable.
Here. No, I was made aware a couple of weeks ago that my 4,000th show was coming up. I didn't care that much, but I still thought I should talk to somebody I want to talk to.
Oh, that's very kind.
Jay Leno is
Or
here.
anybody who was available. I got it, yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of hard passes.
Right.
But, so Jay, so much going on with you. First off, you seem trim. You seem like you're down, I don't know, 20 pounds or something.
I'm down, well, I was 224 at my highest. I'm 173 now. So.
Yeah, well, what I didn't want to do is go too high in the amount you lost and then have it be less.
Right.
But, so what are you doing, or are you doing anything?
You mean to lose weight? Or
I mean, like, are you dieting?
Well, no, I
just
I ate a lot of watermelon. I try to have. I eat like a watermelon a day.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's all water, and it's
right.
You know, I used to get up in the morning and I'll have a box of English muffins. I'll have 4 or 5 of those with some butter on them.
Right.
And I just, I got to stop doing this. I'm using the Colin Chapman theory of less weight means more horsepower. So
Lotus fame.
Yeah. If I lose weight, then I'll have more strength. So that seems to work.
So you just backed off on the carbs and
all
the
of
melon.
All of that. Yeah.
And it was just a conscious thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, you're down 40, 45, 50 pounds?
Yeah, about that. Yeah. That's
amazing.
good. I feel better, yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
Not as much red meat as I used to eat. I was a steak every day kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, it's funny. I just got back from Talladega. I was having a memory about you at Talladega, driving a Porsche GT. I went and I had some vague thoughts about it, but it's a super speedway. It's got the
Super
bank.
speedway.
Everyone knows what it is. Was interesting because Jay was out there setting a record in that.
We're trying to do 100 laps at like 190 miles an hour. And it's so funny. Even though it's a Porsche Carrera GT, it's still 20-year-old technology. And you be going into the corners at 188, 189, and you feel the tires, after a while, they start to wear. You're like, hey. I mean, the whole rear end of the car is just moving around. So I was coming down the back straight, and we'd done what we wanted to do. And the guy just get it like this, give it, oh, you can shut it down. I thought, oh, great. I took my foot off the throttle. The ass end came around.
Just taking your foot off the throttle.
Yeah, it spun 8 times. Like, that old adage, you hit what you're looking at. So every time I saw the wall, I just turned my head. It instinctively made you. So I just kept cutting the wheel. So I flat spotted all 4 tires, but I didn't hit anything. So I managed to avoid that. So it was all right.
And I went and watched a video because I knew you were coming here.
Right.
And I put on my Talladega hat because I was there last week doing some other business. And I thought, Mark Donahue back in the day set a record there in a Porsche. This was a 917 race car, not the GT. The GT is the car that Paul Walker died in.
Right.
And also, somebody, when I did a vintage race at Fontana, died there in a Porsche meet or something.
Well, no, the guy was going around the track, and somebody came out from the pit lane, I believe, and immediately went right to the, instead of following the pit lane around, he just kind of went right to the wall, and the car hit him coming down.
Oh, and I thought there was a defect or something with the car.
No, I don't think
not.
there was. I testified on Porsche's behalf because when the Walker trial, when Walker had his accident, I got a call from these lawyers. They wanted to testify again. I said, it's driver error, okay? I mean, I lifted my foot off the throttle. It was my fault. I mean, as much as I'd like to blame somebody, it's not. At some point, it's not. You're a driver, and I'm not a professional race car driver, not by any sense. I mean, a professional race car would have probably reacted differently or done something differently. But when the guy went like this, okay, that's it. I went, oh, I just lifted my foot off, which makes the car shift, and it's a little tail heavy. So the ass end comes around, and luckily I managed to keep it in its spin, so I felt good about that.
Yeah, I think my friend Mark Garagos, the attorney, was representing the Walker family. And it's interesting. Do you remember seeing him there?
No, I just gave a deposition where I said it was my fault. I made a mistake.
You're spinning out of the GT.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they probably wanted to see if it was a mechanical situation.
Well, I
or
always
not.
love that for the cost of just $1.50 washer, somebody's life could have been saved. But the cars that'll be designed and not to have traction control and ABS and all, because that's what it is.
Right.
The McLaren F1 has none of these. None of these.
The 93.
Yeah, the F1, the legendary car, and that's what driving used to be. And a lot of people like to go back to what it used to be, and that's what a race car is. I mean, most race cars, I don't think any race cars have traction control or stability control or any of that.
I
some do,
don't
perhaps.
know if there's some anti-lock or something. The best thing I ever got out of a race car, like technology, would be in a modern Trans Am car. There would be sequential shifts,
Right.
And you don't have to match rev it when you downshift. You just
gotcha.
grab the next gear.
Right.
And in terms of driving, it is one less thing to think about.
Right,
kind of thing. And some of them are like you don't even have to lift off the accelerator when you grab the next gear. You don't have to push the clutch in.
Right.
You don't have to just grab the next gear. I push the clutch in just out of habit or respect or something.
And then you're going to be 2 seconds slower at the end of the lap. You know?
Yeah. So anyway, I had a whole Talladega thought. It was interesting to me that when I went back and looked at your tape, the professional instructor was named Donahue. And then,
Well, he was Mark's son.
well, that's what I said. I said to my producer, I go, wait a minute, that's Mark. That can't be a coincidence that his name is Donahue.
Well, you know what's interesting?
Mark Donahue did 217 or something
but
like
he wrote
that.
a book called Unfair Advantage.
Mark Donahue.
Mark Donahue, about how he raced and what he did to the car. I guess Sony did the PlayStation. They got that book. They incorporated everything from that book into the cars. And people who read the book and then did the racing game went faster using all the tricks that Mark Donahue had talked about in the book in the the recreation car for the
Really?
race. Yeah, it's really kind of interesting. That's how authentic the game is. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've had the Forza guys scan some of my cars. I imagine they've done some of your cars.
Oh yeah, they did mine like 10 or 15 years ago for the first generation, the big tank car and all the others. It was great fun. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't miss a thing.
No.
They're
and
very
if
accurate.
If you incorporate the tricks, the tire pressure, everything that Mark Donahue used in the real car, in the video game, you will go faster.
So, Jay, I got to ask you about Mavis. How is her health? How's she doing?
She's doing okay. It's okay. It's anybody that deals with Alzheimer's or dementia kind of knows what this is. She's not in any pain.
Mm-hmm.
You try to find the humor in the situation,
Mm-hmm.
She's not walking anymore. I usually carry her around now. But when she was walking, I said, come on, let's go to Nordstrom's. Come on, buy some clothes. She's feeling kind of down. I don't want to. No, come on, let's see if something you like. Okay. And we're looking at the same thing. So we're going to the shoe department. She's these bright blue sneakers. She goes, oh, look at those. I said, you like those? Oh, yeah, those are good. Those are cool. Well, try them on. Do you want them? Yeah. How much are these? $24. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, honey, you want another? Honey, get another pair. I go, okay. So she sees the same ones, but red and white with, like, some bedazzler hit them or something. And she said, oh, these are nice. I said, well, try them on. So she puts them on. I said, honey, wear those home. Put your shoes in the box. Come on, you can walk those out. Oh, okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
So I get up there, I give the guy my credit card, and I got the two pairs, okay? Guy goes, it's $24. Okay. Okay, that is $887. I go, no. I two pairs of sneakers. The $24. He goes, those are $24. These were designed by some rap guy. And all he did was take a bedazzler and hit the blue ones and put some sparkling. And they were $800. And I look at her, and she's got a big smile. You ready to go? Yeah, honey. I'm glad I can afford it. You know? I mean, it made her so happy. So that kind of, and I'll tell you another thing. My wife has always been involved.
You guys have been married 55 years or 50 years?
45 years.
45 years.
We've been together 50.
Oh, okay.
But, she's always involved with women's issues. You get a Nobel Peace Prize nomination and all that kind of stuff. So when I watch TV with her, I try to watch episodic, like Law and Order, shows that end after 45 minutes. Nothing that started on Monday and ends on Friday, because she's not going to remember the Monday show because of the okay. So we're watching Hawaii. I'm trying to find something. So find Hawaii Five-0, first generation, 1968. You know,
Jack Lord.
yeah, Jack Lloyd, and every woman he meets, honey, come here. Sweetie. What did the man look like? Honey, give me a business assessment. He just talks like this.
Freshen up this highball, would you, Toots?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. How do you see Mavis? So then Stanley Holloway, the actor, plays a genetic scientist, a genetic engineer who gets captured by the red Chinese, not the Chinese,
The red Chinese, yeah.
So McGarrett goes to see his daughter, and she's about 40. And he says to her, what kind of genetic engineering did your father do? And she says, well, I'm just a woman. I don't understand such things. And I hear, my wife yelling F you at the screaming at the TV. It just killed me. It just killed me. The fire, the fire was still there. And it just made me laugh. And that's kind of how we have fun, But she's like, oh my God, honey, sweetie, come here. Yeah, hilarious.
So she's not mobile anymore.
No.
And
I mean, I can take her in the car and take her place and stuff like that, but she's not walking.
And how's that sitting with you? I mean, are you okay? Is it? I don't want to,
Well, she is sitting with me. She's
sitting on you.
Well,
no, I'm
look,
just saying. I mean, you have such a great love story. And,
something I
and
enjoy.
You're stoic and all that stuff, but I just mean, I don't know.
I enjoy her company. She's always been fiercely independent. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that she needs me. So I can do things for her and take care of it. And she smiles and is very happy, and she's not, she's not angry or, we just sort of go day by day. And I go home, I cook dinner for her, we watch TV, which is what I did when I had the Tonight Show. I'd go from the Tonight Show, I'd stop at the market, pick up something to eat, and cook it. And sometimes she'd cook it, but sometimes I did. And so it's okay. It's not, look, I have been extremely fortunate in my life. So I'm not going to whine and complain about this, and it's all right. It's better than the alternative, and it's okay. It's okay.
I was a little sad last time I spoke to you because I was getting excited about going to Monterey for the car week,
right?
And I felt, I was just talking to you, I was out on the road or something, and I felt like you were a little morose, like you didn't want to go. It seemed like a hassle. You get stopped everywhere.
It's a little different now. I'm just uncomfortable how expensive the tickets are.
Oh, the quail is like $3,500 for the
like
quail.
$4,000. And I feel like, and I see myself as a young man on the other side of the fence looking at those cars, and I go, why can't the kid come over the fence and look at the car? I mean, that's why they come there. Why? At $4,000? I mean, I wouldn't understand to make a $100 donation to a charity.
You'll be glad to know in the young man department, my son is now 19, has been going for a decade. The Quails is by far on the other side of the fence. 2 years ago, we didn't have a ticket for him.
Right.
I snuck him in.
Oh,
we got him in through the restaurant, the golf course, or whatever.
Well, the funny thing is the fence is only 2 feet high.
Yeah.
It's this tiny fence, so you can step over it,
So, you know what you do, and by the way, I know it's not a financial thing. It just seems a little gross. It's sort of like...
Well, to me, I like the car shows that are a bit more egalitarian, like a cars and coffee thing. You'll see a 68 Dodge Dart parked next to a Ferrari GTO. And I'm looking at the Dodge Dart because I've seen every Ferrari out there.
You go.
I haven't seen a really pristine 68 Dodge Dart.
You go to like the Winnetka Dodge, the one in the flood basin off of Sepulveda and Winnetka or whatever. That's like your kind of.
That's great. I went to one. I was doing a show in Wisconsin, and they said, "Oh, it's a car show tomorrow," because my plane didn't leave till like 2:00. So they said, "Oh, I'll go to the car show," So I walk to the car show, and it's guys. I would say half the guys there still had the car they had when they were in high school. Mm-hmm. And now that their kids are going to college, they're going to get a chance to restore it.
Right.
And, they got the little bratwurst going, and they're cooking the bratwurst. and they got a couple of beers, and this guy's just sitting around. Here in California, you meet one or two guys that have hundreds of cars. You go to the Midwest and New England, and you meet hundreds of guys that have one car.
Right.
And it's a family heirloom, and it's nothing. One guy, the car that won was a 66 Pontiac Tempest with a straight six, and the guy it looked like it came out of the showroom floor. It was probably a $2,800 car when it was new. But it's just fun just to see that and to hear all these guys talk about what they're going to do with this car when they finally finish it. And they'll be either retired or dead by the time they have it. But the whole thing was just sharing the experience. And I go, oh, okay. Because you go to these rich guy things, and a lot of these rich guys will buy a car, send it off to a restore, get the car back, enter it and win a prize, and then sell the car. I go, I mean, what fun is that, So that's why I enjoy the more, just the regular. We started a thing at the Audrain Concours, which is in October, called 30 Under 30. And because there are so many kids that like cars but couldn't get in a car show. So if you're under 30 and you spent less than $30,000 and you restored the car yourself, you could enter it in this show. And the turnout was like hundreds of cars. I mean, guys with, the BMWs from the 90s and the, 2002s, and they put them all back together. And it just, and the level
2002, the model, not the year 2002.
Right. But the enthusiasm.
Nobody knows anything about cars.
Yeah, I know,
except for me and you.
I guess that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but BMW 1600, it's not from the 1600s. yeah.
Thrive Market. Well, it's more stressful than packing school lunches. Realizing you're out of everything at 7 a.m. Yeah, nothing says great start to the day like your kid yelling, "Where's the food?" So while you're holding an empty box of crackers, like it's evidence at a crime scene. That's why I stock up during Thrive Market's back to school sale. Look, I don't have a ton of time to stand in line at the grocery store. I don't want to go up and down the aisles like Sherlock Holmes reading every ingredient label. Thrive lets me shop by diet, values, even whatever food phase you're pretending to care about this week. It makes it all easy. It's great. You go online, you shop, and it's all there. So if you got a busy schedule, and let's be honest, everyone's got a busy schedule, just ask them, but you still want clean, quality food, this is the move right now. That's Thrive. Right, Dawson?
Go to thrivemarket.com/ACS to get 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
True work, fall weather. It's nuts, right? Hot one minute, cold rain the next, wind coming in. Sometimes all in the same day, and that's why there's True Work. Performance workwear built like it matters because it does. Founded by a trade pro. The guy got sick of heavy, soggy gear weighing him down, so he built something better. True Work's made with advanced fabrics, so you get comfort that lasts, mobility all day, and protection year-round. God, where were these guys when I was in the trades? I could have used them, man. Every piece is tested on real job sites by guys who are out there grinding, sometimes literally grinding. So when the weather flips on you, you're still ready. Look, I've worn this stuff. It holds up great, and I'm telling you, it's night and day compared to the old heavy gear. It's True Works, right, Dawson?
Upgrade your day with workwear built like it matters. Get 15% off your first order at truework.com with code ACS. That's TRUEWERK.com.
Well, there is a philosophical thing. I don't know where you come down on it, but I meet people on the road. You meet people on the road. They get out pictures of their 65 Mustang notchback, and they show you pictures of it from high school, and then they tell you what they're doing with it. And there's insane reverence and enthusiasm and emotion tied up on what is essentially a $6,000 car,
right?
But it's them, And then you think, well, you have so many different cars, and there's a part of me sometimes when I walk away from those conversations where I go, that person loves their car way more than I would love any of my 10 cars.
Right.
Because they're so tied up in this one thing. And sort of who's the joke on here? Because this person is passionate and so tied up in this.
Well, my favorite is when I go to these car shows and the husband and wife have matching Mustang outfits. You know, the shirts that say Mustang and the pants that say Mustang.
Yeah.
And they're all excited. And it's great.
Yeah, well, I was just in at the Pabst Theater in Wisconsin.
Oh, that's a nice theater, yeah.
It's beautiful, and that's where your friends, you purchased their Dodge Dart.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I got a call from Jay on the road. Hey, I got somebody from Wisconsin. I don't know. There's 8 or 9 of them. It's a whole clan. It's like kids and
they were a couple. They were like 19. He was going in the service, and she was working in a trucking company, you know, like as a receptionist or something. And she bought a 68 Dodge Dart with 383, and he bought the Charger. And they had them their whole lives, and they got divorced, and you know she got her car and he got his car, and and they still love the car. They sold it to me. Oh, you got to buy it. We want you to have it. Okay, as soon as I got it, you want to sell it back? I just bought it. So I tell you what, if I ever sell it, I'll sell it back to you. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. But yeah, they said they liked the show very much.
Oh, they had a good time?
Yeah, well, they said it was great. Yeah, they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a cool theater. And Milwaukee's kind of a sleeper town. Like it's interesting, towns that are on the way up and towns that are on the way down.
Yeah.
And you can kind of market, like if you're out here long enough, Melrose was dicey and dirty and crappy, and then Melrose got popular and cool and hip, and now Melrose is starting to slide back down.
Right.
Again,
after the third set of riots where they burned it down.
Right. And Old Town Pasadena was, hot in the 50s and then started getting crime. And so things have a sort of ebb and a flow to them. And LA's on the decline, but you think of Milwaukee, you think of Laverne and Shirley in 1974 or something like that, and then you go there and it's vibrant.
It is. And, I find any place that's cold has guys that can work with their hands, and that's what they do in the winter. They go in the basement.
Right.
They take a motorcycle apart. They fastidiously put it back together or rebuild an engine or something like that. I remember I bought a Bugatti from a guy. And he had like 6 or 7 dresser drawers filled with paperwork and correspondence. And I took all that with me, put it in but it was always sunny, so I was always driving the car.
Right.
And then we had about 10 years ago, it rained for like the whole month of February. I said, well, I can't take it. Well, let me go through this. And then I realized this Bugatti was bought originally by Pierre Verone, the guy who the Bugatti Veyron is named after. And this was a race car, and it went from a $150,000 car that I bought to a $2 million car. So I called Bugatti, and I said, I got all this paperwork. So they had me bring it to Pebble Beach, and when the Bugatti Veyron Sport came out, they copied it after my car using the white and the light blue, the two-tone. And they had it on display as the instigator for the Veyron, So,
really?
Yeah, kind of fun, yeah.
You like the story.
Yeah, I like the story.
Jay, stop me if I'm wrong here.
All right, you're wrong.
Jay has his, you have the 93 F1.
94 F1.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Did they come out in 93? Or are they just in 1 year?
No, they're
all right, so Jay's got his 94 McLaren F1. Could be worth $25 million. All right. Now, 65 feet from that is a three-wheeled handmade motorcycle car that a guy drove, Indian maybe, that the guy drove across the country in, right?
Right.
I would reckon to say that you spend more time standing in front of the three-wheeler that the guy made himself in 1942.
That 1931.
31, telling the story of how a kid built that thing and rode it across America. Well, that's more where your head is in terms of motoring.
Well, the kid was 17, and he told his father he wanted a car, and he can't afford a car. So he and his dad went down to the junkyard. They bought an Indian motorcycle engine.
I did have an Indian. That's good.
Yeah, a bunch of Model A sheet metal. He built this three-wheel car.
From the 30s.
Yeah, they drove from Minneapolis to Alaska to San Diego and back to Minneapolis during the Depression. And it's a fascinating story. And when he was like in his late 80s, it was rotting in his backyard, and he was so afraid that some motorcycle guys would come
Take the engine.
throw the car away. He said, "If I give it to you, will you promise not to sell?" I said, "Yeah, I'll fix it up." Okay. So I never met the man, and then one day I had Michelle Williams, the actress, on the show.
Yeah.
And we're talking, and she just happens to say, you got my grandfather's car. I said, well, I don't think so.
The Michelle Williams, Dawson's Creek, and then all the movies after that. Yeah.
And that was her grandfather.
Really?
Yeah, it just made me laugh. I went, oh, how about that? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so you think yourself as the custodian.
Custodian of the car. That's great. The custodian.
Of these cars.
The janitor of the car.
And every 5 years I ask you, but there's no plans for the cars when you're gone.
Well, I keep hearing, Peter Mullins.
Yeah, the collector.
Yeah, he had $100 million endowment for his museum. This is going to go for 100 years. I said, well, that's great. 2 weeks later, the building's empty, everything's sold. I don't quite understand how that works. I thought there was an endowment. Well, the family were not car people. Just because you like car doesn't mean all your grandchildren and everybody else like them. And everything just got sold. It's just, so, I'm trying to set something up, but we'll see what happens.
Well, you don't have greedy kids or kids at all, right?
Right.
You just have
greedy friends.
Podcast hosts who are going on their 4,000th episode.
Oh, my wife's getting calls now. Hey, when Jay dies, you want to sell it? The funniest thing was...
So you're trying to set something up.
Yeah.
Where it'll remain intact.
Well, yeah, at least for a while, hopefully. But
because you don't have, nephews and nieces and...
Yeah, but not the car person. Just people have health issues and whatnot. But I'll tell you a funny story. I met this woman, and her husband died, and she had a Porsche Speedster. And they're at the funeral. This is absolutely true. They're lowering the casket into the ground, and the guy taps her on the shoulder and go, I know this is probably not a good time, but, if you want to sell the Porsche. And she goes, I'm burying my husband. What's the matter with you? What are you...
car guys are big-time enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And they're motivated. And it's like, I think it was the Duesenberg you found buried in the garage over here in Burbank or Glendale or something.
Yeah, right around the corner.
And I was just thinking about...
this area...
The Daytona, the Shelby Daytona that was in that garage all those years at Phil Spector's bodyguard's daughter, and people are knocking on the door wanting to get... Like there's a weird buried treasure aspect to this, and that guy thought, I better talk to this woman first.
Well, you'll like this story. I get a call from this woman. And she said, my husband passed away. He had a Ferrari 275 alloy car he bought in 71. We've had it all these years. Okay, I'm talking. She says, I'd like to sell it. Are you interested? I said, what do you want for it? She goes, well, he told me it was worth $800,000. So I'm not going to take any less than it.
It's a little light.
And I said to her, I'll give you $800,000, but it's actually worth about $4 million, And she said, oh, it's not worth that much. I said, can you bake cookies? She goes, yes. I tell you what, if I can get you $3.5 to $4 million, you have to bake me some cookies. She goes, that'll be fine. So I called David Gooding, and it's an alloy car, blah, blah, blah.
Gooding and Company auction.
The auction company. And they got $3.75 million for the car.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a $4 million car.
I know. But she thought the last figure she got from her husband was $800,000, and then it sat in the garage for another 15 years.
Right.
So.
And also
it makes you feel
paid $9 for it or something when it was new, or 11 or whatever.
I don't want to screw over an old lady, and it makes you feel good. It's kind of like, it's kind of fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it must be nice to be in that position too. Although I don't know a lot of rich guys that wouldn't have bid on $800,000 on something is between 3.5 and 4.
Then you're the bad guy.
I guess.
That's the great thing about exotic cars like Duesenberg, there's always a great story.
Yeah.
Like I have a car called the Duesenberg Barrel Side. All Duesenbergs are built in 1928. It took 10 years to sell them because the Depression hit. So if you got a 34 Duesenberg, it's really a 1928, but it wasn't sold till 34, so it's titled to 34. So this young guy, he's 17 years old. His grandfather, who's still alive, leaves him $17,500 in stock. So he and the grandfather take the money, they cash in the stock, they go down, they buy him a brand new Duesenberg for $17,500 or $18,000, pretty much. They drive it home. The grandfather's son, his father, furious that they've sold the stock and bought this stupid car, throws them both out of the house. You know, the father's one thing to do with either one of them, you're so stupid. Then the Depression hit. Okay, now he's got a car, he's got a Duesenberg car, and the stock was worthless. So he had the car for about 10 years. Then he sold it to a guy who was one of the first GIs into Berlin during World War II. And he and 4 or 5 other GIs raided all these German safe deposit boxes. They took a bunch of diamonds and all the money they could find. They took it, they stuffed them in the frame of a motorcycle, a gold motorcycle, welded the frame back up, left it with a motorcycle dealer, gave him some money, and said, we're going to come back in a year and pick this up. Okay, no problem. So they come back, the bike's still there. They bring it back to America. It looks fine. Okay. Cut the frame open, bought a huge estate in Connecticut, and he bought the Duesenberg. Okay. He had the Duesenberg about a year, and then despondent over a woman, he drives into the garage, shuts the door, and asphyxiates himself. Now, 25, 30 years later, I go to a car show, and I meet his brother. Now, his brother would never sell the car to anybody who knew the story, because I didn't know the story. He said, "Do you know anything about Duesenbergs?" And I said, "Well, yeah, Duesenberg, Fred and Augie." And he goes, "Oh, you know a lot about them, huh?" I go, "Oh, yeah." He said, "You want to buy one?" I said, "Yeah, you got one. Yeah, I got one to sell." Okay, so I bought it, and I went to his house, and he had tons of motorcycles, but you got to take all this crap too. I said, "Yeah, fine, I'll take all the motorcycles." Okay, so I buy the whole thing. Okay. I get the car home. I start doing research. I find out the story, and every Duesenberg collector had been to the guy's house going, "Look, I know your brother died. I'm really sorry. Hey, do you want to sell the car?" And he would never sell it to anybody that knew the story. But he sold it to me. So I restored it, took it to Pebble Beach. You know, it's like $800,000 to restore the thing. And I took him for a ride in it, and I said, "It runs good." I go, "And the brakes are really good." He goes, "Well, you know, I did the brakes before I sold it." Yeah. The thing was a rusted Hulk when I got it. I said, "Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for doing that." You know, it's kind of funny. So there's always a good story. You know, there's another Duesenberg I have. There was a woman named Evelyn Walsh McLean, who was kind of like a Paris Hilton type, you know, socialite. And this is when the Lindbergh kidnapping was going on. A lot of anti-German sentiment going around. So she reads in the paper. That night she has a dream. And in her dream, she sees Bruno Hampton, the German, kidnap the Lindbergh baby. So the district attorney says, "Would you tell that story to a jury?" "I certainly will." So they bring her up, they swear in. "Tell us about your dream." "Yes, I dreamed that man, man kidnapped the baby." And then she passes out on the stand from her arduous testimony. And there's a book called Kidnapped. And it's got a picture of her chauffeur putting her in the back of the car after her arduous...
the vapors.
Yeah. Arduous testimony. You know, hilarious. Just hilarious. But I just like the idea. You think you get screwed by the court now? Oh, my God. You had a dream.
Yeah.
And in your dream, guilty.
So last we spoke, I think you were explaining you weren't going out to Pebble this year. It's probably, I spend most of the time at the track, so it's a little less hoity and a little less toity, you know. But we're also sort of lamenting the state of late night and affairs, and I know you got some flack for saying innocent. Some very innocent statement, which is why we're getting so political all the time.
Well, what happens in the press is I did a thing. They wanted to talk about the humor of Ronald Reagan. Now, I had dinner with Reagan a couple of times, and he was funny. He was a funny guy. He had my favorite Reagan line. He goes, Jay, were you a good student, Jay?" I said, "No, Mr. President, I wasn't." He goes, "Jay, neither was I. And every day I kick myself thinking how much further I could have gone if I just applied myself. And I just thought that was a great line. I mean, you're president of the United States. If only he'd studied a little harder, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and Jay, you had an Indian. Jay, I had an Indian chief. Do you know what the chief is? Yes, Mr. President. Oh, and we would talk about cars and motorcycles. So he was kind of a fun guy. So anyway, so then the interviewer says, "How did you and Johnny handle politics?" I said, "Well, we made fun of both sides. You know, we never picked a side. Nobody could figure out our politics. That's all I said." Okay, about 3 weeks later, Colbert gets fired, and the headline is, Leno lashes out at Colbert.
Right.
I didn't. Leno says you're supposed to make fun of both. No, I didn't pick. And then I got every comic calling me names and saying, "Why did you say?" I didn't say it. They always do that in the press.
I don't know why it's Lucy with the football. It gets moved every time.
Yeah.
Why do we take a run at it?
Yeah.
You know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it bothers me when comedians sort of jump on other comedians.
Yeah, I don't like that. Because I never mention another comedian in a disparaging way. I just ignore it when all the guys were attacking me and Stern and all those guys. I just said, yeah, I just let it go. It's fine. It's fine. You know, my attitude in show business is they don't believe the good stuff or the bad stuff. Hey, you suck. Okay, well, thanks. Thanks for your opinion. Hey, you're the greatest. Well, thank you. Thanks for your opinion. Obviously, I like the good a little bit better, but for the most part, I don't dwell on it because it's just what it is, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, at a certain point, you sort of become the man, and you go from the outsider and the comedian's comedian and the indie band to playing arenas. You know what I mean? And once you do that, then a certain amount of people will feel compelled to attack you because you're the man, even though you're no different than you were before.
Well, it's like I say, who do you tackle? The guy with the football.
Yeah, and you're hosting the Tonight Show, so now you're the man, and we're all these edgy, independent outsider types,
Right.
And we all think we're some punk band playing some small club up on the Upper East Side, and so my feeling is like, well, it could be possible that people change or they become different, but if the guy was funny and he's still funny and he remains funny, being successful doesn't put him on some list where I have to tear him down.
Well, I had one guy come up to me. I won't say who it is, but fairly famous. He goes, "Man, I hated you for the longest time." And I said, "Why? What did I do?" "You didn't do anything, but you got the Tonight Show, and I thought I should have got it." I go, "But you weren't. You never guest hosted, right?" "Yeah." "You were never even up for it." He goes, "I know, but I thought I should have gotten it when you got it." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I don't know what to tell you."
Well, it's an interesting thing. It did remind me of that when you were going through the situation with Conan and stuff, where Conan was going, ever since I was 9, I dreamt of hosting. And I remember sitting back going, I dreamt of playing center field for the Dodgers, but it doesn't mean it's owed. It's not your birthright just because you wanted to do it.
Well, people think you have all this power, and you got $150 million. No, I didn't. I got fired. How did I have any power?
Right. You got fired when you were number 1 in the ratings, which
That's
is
my favorite thing.
Insane.
I remember I had a meeting with them, and I'm not going to say about Conan, but and they said, "Why do you want to replace me?" I said, we're number 1. We've been number 1 for 14 years. He said, "We want what's above number 1." I said, "Okay." And I had to laugh. Even the other guys in the room, I go, "Okay, what is above number 1?" I said, "The show's making money. You're doing fine. I've never missed a show. Out of 4,631 shows, I missed 2 shows because I was ill one day and they wanted me to stay home an extra day. But that was it, And it just sort of made me laugh. And I thought, all right, guys, you want me to go? I go, fine. And then, see, what happened was Craig Ferguson came along, and he was a huge hit. And then he was opposite Conan, and I believe he was beating Conan in the ratings. And that's when Jeff Zucker said, "I think we made a mistake. We want you to come back." I go, that's really not going to work. He goes, "Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you do a half hour from 11:30 to 12, and Conan does 12 to 1. I go, Conan's not going to do that. So he mentions it to Conan, and Conan wrote the letter, People of Earth, all that kind of stuff. And then I got blamed for all that. And it was it's fine.
It is weird. It's weird getting blamed for a bunch of stuff. I marvel at this. I was actually talking to Dr. Drew about this on the ride in because I was saying,
I love that you carpool. I think that's fascinating.
No, I was on the phone, but I know how he made it sound. But I said, years ago, it always stuck in my head. I went on this rant where I said, look, I want you to make your son and your daughter lunch, and I want you to make them breakfast. I want the parents involved, and I want the symbolism. I'm not talking about the money. We're talking about free lunches in schools and free breakfast. I said, it's slop. Right. Anyway, but I want the symbolism of the parents engaged up in the morning, making the breakfast, seeing them off, put a little note in their bag with their name on. And I said, I don't care about the money, the taxes. I don't care. It costs 50 cents to feed a kid. I don't care. I pay enough in taxes. I want the parents involved, engaged. I don't want the government feeding your kids starting age. Of course, the next day it was like the Young Turks. Adam Carolla doesn't want your kids to eat, But what I was laughing about with Drew is I was like, is that really my thing? Like, I don't want kids to get food, or I want only my kids to get food, but I don't want Drew's kids to get food because that's more food my kids could get. Like, you really think that's my position as a tax-paying citizen and as an adult? Do you think Jay's a bad guy? It's like, I don't know what they think.
Well, you mentioned something. We used to do headlines, and I used to read school lunch menus. And one of my favorite was meatloaf with soft breadsticks, Monday. Wednesday, meatloaf with crunchy breadsticks. that was actually, because obviously what they couldn't give away on Monday, they kept to Tuesday, and then finally Wednesday. Oh, now they were crunchy breadsticks. That always made me laugh.
We have, I'm told, a birthday cocktail party for you.
For me?
This is the people... the famous people that celebrate your birthday.
What? But my birthday's not till April.
I know, but there were people who came before us.
Oh, you mean other people
who also have the same birthday?
Yes. Well, Saddam and I used to celebrate. Saddam Hussein is
what is? I'm sorry. It's written on this page that you're 55 years old, but that just can't.
No,
be.
I'm 75 years old.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah, I would guess that paper is 20 years old.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yep, ink's dry. All right, we'll play it just because. You want to break and do it? Yeah, all right. I'll tell you what. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Jay's cocktail party right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah. Well, guess who's in the business of keeping your car on the road? That is O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, they offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. Good folk over there. I've always used O'Reilly. I used them back in the day, and I use them now. And for me, they're very conveniently located. I hit the one up on Foothill a few weeks ago, and then I hit the one in Glendale the other day, too. So whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you're going to find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they are friendly. So stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
This September, CBS hits are streaming free on Pluto TV.
I'm coming in hot.
For this month only, stream full episodes of Matlock,
I'm a lawyer, like the old TV show.
Fire Country, Elsbeth,
I do love a mystery.
NCIS Origins, Watson, and Ghosts.
What the hell?
This is the most amazing sight I've never seen.
All for free. The CBS shows you love, this month only on Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
The Adam Carolla Show presents Jay Leno's birthday cocktail party for April 28th. Let's see who's invited. Let's welcome the King of England, Edward IV. Here's the 5th President of the United States, James Monroe. Let's welcome the legendary actor from It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Potter, Lionel Barrymore. Here comes Austrian businessman and the subject of Schindler's List, Oskar Schindler. Here's Italian auto designer Ferruccio Lamborghini. The author of To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee, is here. It's Morticia from the Addams Family, Carolyn Jones. Here comes custom motorcycle builder Indian Larry. American golfer John Daly is here. American rapper Too Short just joined the party. Penelope Cruz is here. Jessica Alba just walked in. And the former ruler of Iraq, Saddam Hussein. Jay Leno is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Jay, by the way, makes great car products at lenosgarage.com if you want to
we do.
avail yourself some
Available at Walmart.
of that. Oh, nice. Let's see. Something I think about all the time with you, Jay, is I have tons of buck slips with notes and stuff all the time because I'm constantly thinking of jokes or things, and I'm like, da. And I said to you once, I don't see you writing stuff down, and you said if it's funny, I'll remember it.
Yeah, I'm dyslexic, so I don't really write anything down. But I had something happen the other day. You would like this because you like these kind of subjects. With COVID and education and all. I'm at the deli. The guy in front of me says, "Give me a quarter pound of pastrami." Okay. The guy puts it, and the guy goes, "Here you go." He said, "I'm sorry, I gave you half a pound." The guy goes, "Well, that's okay. Don't worry about it." And then the guy, takes the tape with the take it up to the register, puts it on. The guy goes, "Oh, wait a minute. Why is the half pound pastrami twice as expensive as the quarter pound pastrami?" And I'm thinking, oh man.
Yeah. We're bad shape.
This is really bad shape. He actually asked that question. The guy.
Well, how old was the guy?
Early 20s.
Maybe? Oh, so he's young. Yeah, he didn't. No. Yeah, well, so I have this very strong belief that we're getting away from the tactile world. And also, you don't know how much math you're constantly doing when you're messing around with your cars because you get the 5/30 seconds and then the 3/16.
I think something happened during COVID. For example, I would sit down and I would read for a minimum of an hour. After COVID, I read for about 10 minutes. What's that, a fly? Where's he going?
Right.
Is he on the window again? I get up, look for the fly. I find my attention span, maybe it's a thing of getting older, but it just seems like something happened where I'm looking at videos way more than every night I would go to bed and I would read and I'd have a flashlight because my wife was right next to me. So I'd hold the flashlight. Now I have the screen in front of me. Mm-hmm. But I just find myself watching videos more than reading, and that can't be good.
But don't you feel like going to your shop and picking up a tool and solving a problem is sort of...
Well, the heart is healthiest when the head and the hands work together. That's sort of an old-fashioned expression.
Yes, and I worry that there's a shortage of that. Like I think projects and fixing things and problem solving and all that stuff, it's real important for your sanity.
I'm coming up Colborne one day and I see a BMW 750, the top of the line model, sitting there. Guy's got a flat tire, and he and the girl are sitting there. Can I help you out? He goes, I got a fly waiting for the truck. I said, you got a spare? He goes, well, I don't know. I said, yeah, what color? Open your trunk. Oh, there, yeah, it's an older BMW. There's a spare right there. There you go. He goes, but there's no way to get the wheel off. And it's that flat wheel. It's got the plastic insert, Mm-hmm. I said, see that little...
Over the lugs.
Yeah, see that little lip there?
Yeah.
If you open your tool, if you open your
flathead screwdriver.
No, your manual, your owner's manual, there should be a metal tool in there. So he goes, oh, let me see. So he opens the glove box. And of course, his manual is still in the original packet. It's never been opened. It's all sealed. I said, can you feel it? See that piece of metal? I'll take that off. And then I said, now stick the thing, pop the cover. And it goes there, lugged, and it goes, that's unbelievable. So the two of us changed the tire, and there you go. I help him out, and she's looking at me like I'm Superman,
Right.
And I said, well, there you go. You all right? You got enough? She goes, I goes, thanks a lot. I said, how could you not grow up and not know how to change a tire? But it just made me laugh.
It's it's an epidemic. Young men don't even want to drive. Forget about changing a tire. They're in no hurry to get their license. And that's indicative of the time we're living in. You were probably getting your learner's permit at 15 and a half,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I remember on the headlines once the question was, should you be allowed to text and drive? And this one guy said, well, there's nothing else to do while you're driving. You might as well text.
Right. Yeah, and to be fair, cars used to be real engaging. I mean, you had to really drive them, and there was a sound. Like you could hear the wind wings, and there was always coming through.
When I drive my 51 Hudson, I got my hand on the wheel, I reach over, and I have 6 buttons. I can just press them, and it change. And the Tesla, I got to look at the screen, I got to touch it, I got to slide something. I'm constantly looking back. It's way more dangerous than driving my 51 Hudson.
A Hudson with a push-button stereo.
Yeah, push-button radio, yeah. And when you turn the key on, it comes on. Every modern car, I get in there, I take out my phone, go to the thing, and it crosses over,
I love the story of the Dean Martin's son, Mura, because you have the Lamborghini birthday, and I just love that Mura S, I think it is. Maybe it's
it's a P400.
Oh, it's a P.
And then the orange one is
an S.
It's an S.
Oh, okay. You got the P from Dino.
Yeah.
Was Dean Martin's son drove that car to high school, in high school?
Drove that car in high school. He hit a berm in the road, and it cracked the pan, and the oil leaked out, and the engine seized.
Right.
Okay. So remember, this is 1966, 67.
Oh, new. He drove it new.
Yeah, you couldn't call Lamborghini. There's no way to get him on the phone. There's no. So when that blew, they tried to sell it. Somebody wanted to put a 283 Chevy in it somehow.
Yeah.
So anyway, a friend of mine got it, and you just couldn't fix it. Nobody knew anything about them, and there was no parts of it.
It was a seized up V12.
Yeah. So his wife said, it sat in the yard for like a year. Look, Leno loves this kind of crap. Just give it to him. He'd like it. Oh, thank you. No, it's like a $5 million car. It's like crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, the mirrors are gone.
I know,
nuts.
I know.
It's not 5, but it's expensive.
Well, one sold for $4.9, but that was an SV.
That was an SV.
Yeah.
That could be twice the whatevers. But yes, they're super expensive cars, and it's funny that one was free. And obviously, you rebuilt the motor some years later, right?
It seemed so complicated at the time. Now it looks easy compared to modern stuff.
What do you have that you really like the most? Like what do you have the most affinity for in your collection? Like,
well,
I know you love the F1 McLaren.
Well, I like all of them because they're all so different. It's like, imagine every girl you ever went out with in high school still looks the same, and they're waiting for you. So I go in the garage, and look, it's just like it was when I got it 15 years ago. And then, this thing is great to drive.
Yeah. Dino Martin probably had a hot chick in high school.
Well, there you go.
He died. I think he was in the Air National Guard.
He's in the Air National Guard, and he he just flew into the side of a mountain. I don't know whether the jet malfunctioned or what it was. And that was it for Dino. Dean Martin never got it. And that was just devastating. He's a very nice guy, Dean Martin. He was a quiet guy. He's kind of a homebody. Didn't really drink. That was always apple juice. And
really?
Yeah, he was very funny. He just had the funny way about him, that kind of relaxed style. Sinatra always seemed tense and a bit more aggressive, whereas Dean didn't give a crap. He just sing song, tell joke, get check.
Who do you miss from not that era, but like guests who would come on your show? I guess now. You
know who I miss? I miss John Denver.
John Denver.
Early in my
also died in an aircraft.
Right.
Experimental aircraft.
Yeah, he reached back to turn the switch to go from reserve to fuel. Either the switch broke or something happened, or he couldn't reach it, or it was already on reserve when it should have been on, and that's what caused the crash.
Do you think the Dino Martin plane story made you think about John Denver?
Maybe subconsciously. I used to work with John, and he was such an idealist. And after the show, we'd go back to his room, and he'd talk about...
You'd do stand-up, and he'd play?
Yeah. I'd be the opening act, And he'd talk about environmental things and how can we fix the earth and all this. And I was like in my early 20s. I'm just concentrating on getting, just working. So I enjoy. He was a truly decent guy. He was a nice guy, and he has had cover of Time magazine, biggest selling record artist for a number of years. And one time I said,
and a movie star too. Later on,
star, yeah. And one time I said to him, he said to me, he called me after things had slowed down. He said, "Hey, I want to be on the Tonight Show." So I went to the Tonight Show. Let's put on John Denver. I go, "Jay, he's not a name anymore." I go, guys, I opened for him for like 5 years. He treated me. I want to put him on the show. Well, I don't know. And the network says, "Well, what do you want to book the show now?" So I go, "No, but it's John. There's got to be people out there that want to see."
Well,
John.
the guy had 18 number one hits.
Yes, John Denver on a Tuesday. It's just such a cruel business.
It is.
Where you go, here's a guy who, and a nice guy. It's not like he was a prick and screwed people over and now screw him. Very nice, very kind. Yeah, it was just, I eventually got him on, but it's like, that happened. One time I'm playing in Canada and I knock on my dressing room door. "Hey, Jay, can I come in?" I go, "Hey, how you doing?" I don't quite recognize the guy, "Hey, any chance I could be on the Tonight Show?" I'm thinking, "Oh, yeah, let me think." Oh, God, who is this? I'm trying to figure it out. And he just happened to turn his head to where I went, "Oh, my God, it's Gordon Lightfoot."
Yeah,
He was an older guy.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't worked really older, where I had to really look past the old man to see the young man, I went, "Oh, okay, well, let me see what I can do." And, and I mentioned it, and then he never did quite get on, then he passed away. But it was just so surreal, to see this guy knock on my door, and I saw him on the Ed Sullivan Show. Here's the funny thing about
Gordon Lightfoot had tons of hits.
Gordon Lightfoot was Canadian, and he was on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they didn't know what to do with Canadians. So as he's singing a song, "Free Highways," there are hockey players behind him going back and forth with hockey sticks and Canadian flag.
Because they needed a motif.
Yeah. So that was the Canadians. They like hockey, right? Let's put some hockey players behind Gordon. So, "Carefree Highways." Hilarious. It made me laugh.
Yeah, that was cool. I think I saw Gordon Lightfoot in concert once in like that. Or where I saw him? I saw him in the same place I saw you, which was the amphitheater back when it was open.
Yeah.
At Universal.
Right. Yeah.
Which would have been
86.
Was that early?
86, 87. Yeah.
God, I remember that was a big night, and that was a big venue.
That's a big venue, yeah. But Gordon Lightfoot was terrific. But yeah, that's right. Because I remember sharing that story with him about the Canadians with the hockey sticks, and he thought that because he had no control over it. He just thought, all right,
Yeah, so John Denver, he's been gone for 15 years, 20, I don't know.
Easy 20, yeah.
Easy 20. But, that guy was a mega star. It's also, I guess it's sad, or is it sad? You know what I mean? You talk to somebody who's under 40 and you say John Denver and they go, "Who?" And then you feel bad for John Denver. But on the other hand, John Denver made a living doing what he wanted to do.
Right.
And singing about the themes he wanted to sing about, and he even died doing what he loved, which is experimental aircraft.
Well, I'll tell you something funny. The same thing. David, my producer, he's a young guy. He's like 34, 35. And we have a friend of ours who runs a car museum and brings cars to us, right? We're talking about it, and I had Hal Roach on the Tonight Show. It was, Hal Roach? Who's Hal Roach? Oh, he was a prune. He discovered Laurel and Hardy. He put Laurel and Hardy together. And this kid goes, "Who's Laurel and Hardy?"
Right.
Well, you know the comedy team? No, I don't. Laurel and Hardy. Really? You don't know? I was just stunned they didn't know Laurel. It just made me laugh.
It's almost like not hearing of a world war.
Well, but you see, it's also, I had a guy call me one time. He goes, "Hey, Jay, I know you like cars. I've got a car for sale. It's a 39 Lincoln Zephyr." I said, "Oh, those are nice, V12. They run a little hot." But he goes, "No, this one's got celebrity provenance, so I'm going to want a little bit more money for it." I said, "Celebrity provenance? Who was it owned by?" He says, "Hoot Gibson."
Hoot Gibson.
I go, Hoot Gibson. Now, Hoot Gibson, if you ever watch any of those westerns from the 40s, he was always be Cookie. He'd be the chef. And the damn Indians are shooting arrows, and I'm trying to cook my grub up here. You know, it was like he was a comic relief. You know, and I said to him, you know, I think you kind of missed the boat on Hoot Gibson. If you were selling this car in 1968, maybe. But I said to him, nobody goes, oh, people know. No, they don't know Hoot Gibson. Nobody knows. I said, I only know it because my father used to joke about it. Every time my father saw an old guy looks like Hoot Gibson, because, you know, with the scraggly beard and the straw hat.
Yell concern it and throw his hat on the ground.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Who'd you look forward to when you were hosting the Tonight Show? Like who?
Oh, I look forward to Rodney. I love Rodney.
Like there's two ways that you can look forward to someone as a host. One is this is going to be light lifting. Like I don't have to spin the plates that hard. You get the young ingenue. She's 23 years old. She's got a bad story.
Right.
You're going to have to dive in. Right. But Rodney, not only great, but light lifting.
Well, I'll tell you funny. One of my favorites is Charlie Sheen. You know, I love Charlie. I don't want to be Charlie, but one day I'm sitting, it's like 3:45. We're taping at like 4:30 or something. I go, phone rings. Jay, it's Charlie Sheen for you. And hello? He goes, Jay, it's Charlie. Charlie, man, listen. Yeah, you know, we're coming in. We got an accident. Limo got T-boned. I got T-boned. You all right? He goes, yeah. I mean, it caught fire, but it's not. What do you? I said, well, look, we can get a comic. Don't worry. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. Don't, Charlie, just go home. All right, just relax. Just take it easy. I'll call you next week, okay? Thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. Thanks. So I said, turn on the, Entertainment Tonight or all those shows that come on about 4 o'clock. I don't see anything about Charlie's accident. I said, get me Joe, the chauffeur, Ring. Hello, Joe? Yeah, it's Jay. Hey, Jay, what's up? Charlie with you? I'm in front of his house, but he hasn't come out. He hasn't come out yet. I said, you didn't get T-boned? No, I didn't get T. The limo didn't catch fire. So I called Charlie back. Hello. I go, Charlie, it's Jay. What are you, 9? There's a monster under the bed? Charlie Sheen gets T-boned on the 101. You don't think somebody else will report this story? He goes, well, it's just a little higher. So I said, Charlie, it's fine. It's fine. But just it's like a kid with a stupid lie. It just made me laugh. I got T-boned. It caught fire. Hilarious.
So Rodney was your favorite.
I love Rodney. He was great.
I met him one time, and he was really mean to me.
Well, he could be that way a little bit. He was an interesting character. He probably one of those guys, started doing this when he was 20, and Rodney had to wait for his face and his body to grow into his act. Because seeing a young, fresh-faced kid not getting it. See, I knew Rodney before the No Respect thing. He used to do bits. I remember one of his bit he used to do. This is when comedians would act out a skit, He said, hey, welcome aboard Flight 995. This is your pilot, Captain so-and-so. We're flying over the Rockies now. And if you look on the left side of the plane, you can see the remnants of Flight 918 that hit a mountain there. Then he goes, Bob, you were with me on that one, weren't you? I always thought that was like a funny bit. But he used to do those kind of bits. And this was before. He did a movie called The Projectionist. It was funny.
Bob Newhardy.
Yeah, little Bob Newhardy. Again, another one of my favorites.
He was great.
Bob, the subtle kind of slow ball, fastball. He had a bit about the first astronaut to have contact with extraterrestrials. Right? Okay. So this happens in space, right? So the astronaut comes back, there's a big press conference, and the astronaut's answering questions. And one of the reporters says, how far ahead of us is this alien life? And Bob says, about 6 weeks. And you realize, and it's the perfect number because 2 weeks is too soon.
Right.
2 months, no, that's too far away. But 6 weeks, you can see 6 weeks. It's right over there. But you can't catch somebody that's 6 weeks ahead of you. But you can see them in the league. And just Rickles and everybody, as I love too, but more louder, more in your face. Bob Newhart just had that slow ball that was just. I remember he was talking to Johnny about a time. And he stopped watching TV late at night, And in some studio somewhere, the engineer in the local station had slipped in a porno tape that they were watching. It got broadcast over the air. And he talked about the guy sitting there watching, and I'll go, the wife's going, come to bed. I'll be there, honey, just watching a movie. The girl is really good. She's very talented. You know, I mean, he said everything without saying anything, you know.
Right.
So he could do, like, quote, a dirty story under the guise of, but he was just fabulous. Yeah.
How was Johnny?
Johnny was great. I like Johnny. Johnny was good. You know, he was a complex guy, not a good drinker. You know, when he died, he left me his dad's 1939 Chrysler.
Really?
Yeah.
From the dock? There was a dock with that car in it, or at least an expose on Johnny Carson and the town he came from.
Yeah, no, Johnny did a thing called Johnny Goes Home. Where he went back to Nebraska.
Right.
And they wanted to seek out a car just like his dad's car so he could drive around Nebraska.
Right.
Or around his hometown.
Right.
Well, being a small town, the car was still in the town.
Right.
And it was owned by a guy who restored it. And
so that's the same car?
Same car.
Okay.
Johnny, the father.
left that,
yeah. So NBC bought the car and gave it to Johnny. And Johnny was kind of upset because you paid $15,000. That's crazy. That's crazy money to spend that kind of money on the car. I don't really want that. So, but anyway, he took the car back, and then when he died, I got a letter saying in the will he wanted to leave it to me. So I've got it to shop, and I drive it around.
Yeah, I mean, people's answers with certain guys, like Johnny Carson, they go, it was complicated, or, that kind of stuff. It sounds a little euphemistic. No one does that with Henry Winkler. They just go, nicest guy in the world. I love that guy. I've always said the code, when you were saying something that was not kind, but you didn't want to sound unkind, I'd go, Jay, salt of the earth, love that guy. Henry Winkler, great. Love that guy. Johnny's Johnny.
Yeah,
he's going to be Johnny.
Right.
That's the code for tough.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of great men who've been a little difficult. And also you're in a position where you have a lot of people counting on you, and there's a lot of pressure. And, you can't be Mr. Nice Guy all the time. Stuff needs to be done. You seem to be able to pull that off. But some people it's difficult because you tell people what to do all day.
Right.
And so some people say, well, that guy's always telling someone what to do. And it's like, because his name's on the building. He's telling everyone what to do all day. But Johnny was good to you?
Yeah, he was good to me. I like Johnny. He was. I always called him Mr. Carson, That's why Letterman was such a great thing for me, because I go, thank you, Mr. Carson. Jay, it's Johnny. I grew up back east. When I meet my parents' friends, I don't go, hi, Bob and Agnes. I go, how are you, Mrs. Minicelli? Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. You can't call them by the first name. So Letterman was the first place where I could go, hey, Dave, nice tie. I could trash him and have fun with him. And Dave could laugh at it. Yeah, I couldn't do that with Johnny because he was an adult and a grown-up, like a kid.
Right. Yeah, the Letterman appearances for you were huge.
Oh, that was the best time in my career. I loved it. I loved working with Dave.
Did you love it because you can never recapture the something's happening?
Well, the thing I loved about it was we go in there with material.
What year, probably? What was your first appearance?
It would be, 84 to, right up to 89, something like that. And I did it about once every month or two. And I loved it because we would have something prepared and we'd never get to it. Mm-hmm. To me, I used to love, like Dave gets nervous when he was on. Like I remember one day I went down and I got a giant meatball sandwich, right? So I'm standing outside of makeup waiting for Dave to come. As soon as he comes on, they're going, Dave, try this meatball. He goes, no, I'm going on in 5 minutes. No, Dave, try this meatball. He goes, no, get that disgusting thing out. So then when I went out on the show, I brought the sandwich out with me. Of course, Letterman's all so I always liked to surprise Dave. I knew Dave's sense of humor. One time, Dave had been on the cover of Success magazine. Mm-hmm. So I walked out with the magazine. Everybody see this Dave on the cover of Success. Letterman, just put that away. No, Dave, this is quite an accomplishment. Look at this, everybody. Success magazine. Dave is on the cover, and he goes, just put that away. I said, Dave, did I show you this? And I take out a magazine that's twice as big. I said, I'm on the cover of Super Success magazine. And it was like the size of Life magazine, a big picture of me in it. And, of course, Letterman got the joke right away. And, making Letterman laugh was the highlight of my career. Because he's a tough guy to make laugh. So if you can get to him, that was always fun part.
But you had history from the Comedy Store, right?
From the Comedy Store. I remember the first time I saw Dave, I thought, boy, this guy is a great wordsmith. A bit awkward on stage and stiff, but he used to like the fact that I could just get up there and riff and be very relaxed, whereas he was very uptight all the time, And I would say to him, boy, I love the phraseology. I like how you form the words. He goes, oh, yeah, that's okay. Well, how can you be so relaxed up there? So I think we complemented each other. I took a little from Dave. He took a little from me.
Shopify, starting a new business. Well, that can be intimidating. Yeah, got a lot to think about. Let's make it a little easier with Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands that are just getting started. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. Get the word out like you got a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond at Shopify. Right, Dawson?
Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Carolla, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Carolla to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/Carolla.
This September, CBS hits are streaming free on Pluto TV.
I'm coming in hot.
For this month only, stream full episodes of Matlock,
I'm a lawyer, like the old TV show.
Fire Country, Elsbeth,
I do love a mystery.
NCIS Origins, Watson, and Ghosts.
What the hell?
This is the most amazing sight I've never seen.
All for free. The CBS shows you love, this month only on Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
I remember we had a bit on the Manson place. And I said, Dave, I was just out at the Spawn Ranch, just visiting Charlie and the guys, Charlie and the guys, and Letterman would laugh at that. And we would just kid back. And we never got to whatever the punchline was because we were both laughing so hard. And then Dave would throw in a line that topped my line or whatever it might be. So it was always great fun.
Yeah, it's kind of the verbal equivalent to playing jazz and just kind of jamming.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Because I started my career at jazz clubs. I was opening Miles Davis, Stan Getz, Mose Allison, Ahmad Jamal, Rushan Roland Kirk. Chick Corea. Jazz audiences are great for comedy because it's the only place I ever worked where as soon as you went on stage, the audience went, shh, shh, shh. Because they wanted to listen.
Right.
Because they're a jazz audience. They're listening to the
Right.
music, not like a, strip joint or something like that,
You've done your share of them.
Oh, yeah.
I was very impressed in a story you told when we were doing the fantasy camp, and you were talking about going to a club and putting $50, giving it to the bartender,
Right,
the guy
right.
who's managing or behind the bar, and saying, if I'm not good, you can keep this.
Yeah.
Keep this money. And I just feel like it's getting lost on people that you have to work for free and you have to kind of bet on yourself.
Right.
And all the successful people I know all have those kinds of stories
Right.
in their background.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite story. This is Seinfeld's favorite too, I think.
It's a Seinfeld story?
Well, I'll tell you what the story is. This is back in the 80s. Now, we'd both been on TV, a little Merv Griffin and maybe, not a lot of TV. So Seinfeld picks up, I think it was the New York Post, and he sees Jay Leno named Best Face to Caricature by the American Caricatures Association. So he calls me up, and, they got my 8x10 and then the caricature on the side. He goes, how did you get, how do they even know who you are? I said, Jerry, I'm president of the American Caricatures Association. I had this fake stationery made called the American Caricatures Association. And I sent out a press release, Jay Leno has been named Best Face to Caricature by the American Caricatures Association. I just sent it to a bunch of newspapers. And It's news. They don't check anything. They just printed it. It was in Time magazine, and it just made me laugh. And I went, okay, this is how everybody's lazy. Okay, you can just get away with whatever you want.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me that you have, a motor and, had to fight to host the Tonight Show and are motivated, but you're also kind of laid back and aw shucksy at the same time. And it's a weird sort of alchemy that
but it works.
A lot of people, it works. No, I know, but I mean, most people are
something?
sort of nervous lapdogs, and they're going all the time. And then there's Labradors, and they're kind of laid back, but they're not the same.
Most people I fail. I remember when I gave a commencement address on this. If the people who fail almost has nothing to do with their talents. Too straight, too gay, too high, too jealous, too egomaniacal, too narcissistic. There's always some other reason why they don't make it. I mean, assuming they have the ability to do it.
Are you saying to do comedy or do anything?
Well, to do anything.
Right.
You have the ability. They rarely fail because of their ability. It's like comics that they're plenty funny, but they got drunk and they hit the manager or they attacked his wife or whatever. There's always some other reason why you failed, And I would always keep that in mind, and just try to just concentrate on the task at hand, Whenever I go on stage, if I've been fighting with somebody, I get it taken care of. Look, even if I'm not at fault, look, I apologize, okay? Let's be friends. Thank you. So now I can go on with a clear head. The number of people I see that go into a stage performance or a singing concert and they're mad about something, it doesn't work, The anger comes out,
What was the $50 behind the bar story?
Well, what I would do, I would go into a club. Boston did not really have any comedy clubs. It was mostly like "Stop Your War Machine, Man." It's like Vietnam the protest songs.
Talking the late '60s, early '70s.
Yeah, and I would say to the bartender, I say, "I'm a comedian. We don't do comedians. Well, can I get up there?" No. I said, "Well, so wait. Here's $50. If I get a laugh, keep the 50. If I get a laugh, give me my 50 back. If I get no laughs, you keep the 50." Oh, okay. And that cost me about $400 or $500 over the course of a month or two. But for the most part, it worked. People go, okay. And then they go, yeah, come back next Saturday if you want. You want MC maybe? Yeah, okay. And that's kind of how I got a foot in the door.
Yeah. I always think back. It reminds me of this for some reason. But when I wanted to be a boxing coach, but I was a carpenter. And I went into the gym to tell the guy, let me teach boxing here. And he said, we only hire ex-champions or champions. We're not hiring you. And I just went, okay. And then I saw behind him were heavy bags laying on the ground that needed to be swung.
Right.
And I said, you need those heavy bags hung? And he goes, oh, yeah, I do. I go, well, I'm a carpenter. And he goes, oh, you could hang them? I go, well, I could if you let me try teaching a boxing class.
Right.
And he goes, well, okay. And I said the same deal. I go, listen, I'll hang all this and I'll do all this, and you just give me a chance to teach boxing. If I'm no good, then what do you care? You fire me. You never hire me.
Yeah.
Just give me a shot.
Yeah, that's great.
And he said, yeah, okay, hang the bags. Because there's something in it for him.
Right, yeah.
And I think people need to sort of understand that people need a little motivation sometimes. And the $50, let the kid go try comedy.
Nothing makes me madder than you can't get a job without being in a union. You can't be in a union without a job. And I go, you're right. It can't be done. Just quit. It can't be done. You're right.
Where were you working at the time where you got the 50 to make the $50?
I was working at Foreign Motors in Boston, which was a Mercedes-Benz foreign car dealership. That was interesting.
Exotic for back then.
Well, I remember there was a guy named Tony Sabia who was like a fashion designer. He lived in Chestnut Hill. And he had like 5 or 6 Mercedes, the classic convertible and all that kind of stuff. And me and 4 other guys would go out and wash and polish his cars like once a month. And I remember we got out there, and I was like 19, and these guys were all in their late 20s, early 30s. And one of the guys said, well, wouldn't it be great if this is our only job, just having to come out here and polish these cars? And I said, it wouldn't be great to be the guy and have all these cars? And they went, what? What are you, stupid? What, you think that's going to happen? I go, why couldn't I have it? And they're just like, what are you? I mean, they could not see past their station in life. That was his. I mean, really, you don't even dream about doing that? Don't even think it's possible? Yeah.
Well, as I've said many times, I grew up and I never even heard the word career. I only heard the word job.
Right.
Like everyone needed a job. You got to get a job out of high school. Go get a job. Go find a job. Yeah. And my friends were saying, wait, and they talk about this guy, Steve, he got a job.
Right.
He's working at the market. He's got a job. And I didn't even hear the word career.
Yeah.
Career's like for other people, like doctors and lawyers and, people in credit card commercials and stuff, So it's a mentality. But for you loved cars, and the kind of cars you love aren't free. And I was highly motivated in my life to do comedy to get paid so that I could go race cars and have cars and have a building to put the cars in and so on and so forth. And I don't know. I think comedians sometimes shy away from everything because it's an art. Everything's art for them. But I was very motivated. I said, look, swinging a hammer, I'm just not going to make enough money to go do what I want to do with these cars. And so, I just got back from Laguna Seca. It's an expensive car. It's in a trailer. It's got a dually hauling it. The race fee is $1,500. It's all impossible as a carpenter.
Right.
And I think people with comedy get into this kind of art part of it. Yeah. And for me, it was a little more nuts and bolts. Like I could do this.
I'm the same way. I always tell comedians, never believe in yourself. Make other people believe in you. That's really the trick, because everybody believes in themselves. Yeah, I think I'm great. Yeah, it's terrific, Bob. But you're not going to get anywhere if you convince that guy that you're great. If you got a good product, somebody will buy it. I always meet people who go, I'm going to finance this movie myself. When people hear my story, no, they don't care about your story. If your story's any good, someone else will buy it, and you'll make your money that way.
So I know we've kind of talked about the low self-esteem versus, I would always say I have no self-esteem, which is not good or bad. I just don't think of myself
Well, I'm a
that
huge
way.
believer in low self-esteem.
Yes, I know you are.
It's the key.
Well, I think the self-esteem movement has been damaging because we've been telling people who don't earn it or have any skill, you're number one.
Oh, yeah.
Don't let anyone ever tell you you're not number one. And it's like, that's going to cause a lot of disappointed and angry kids.
Yeah, my mother always say, you're just going to have to work harder than the other kids to get the same thing. I said, all right, that seemed like a fair trade-off.
I always laugh because I was at my daughter's volleyball game in like Orange County like 5 years ago, and at some point I said, I'll go get sandwiches for everybody, and I went to like the Jimmy John's sub shop, but because we got there at 7 in the morning and breakfast at lunch is at 11 or something, it's not open yet.
Yeah.
And I just went out and I stood in front of this place, and it said they're now hiring rock stars, and I thought, you are not a rock star if you're in, El Cajon at the Jimmy John's sandwich place getting $11 an hour. Right. But they had to sell it to the kids with the self-esteem movement of a rock star. You would be a rock star to work at our sandwich place. And I thought, this is not helpful. Low self-esteem it can motivate. It's a good thing.
There you go.
And they did a study where people are in prison for murder have high self-esteem because it would take high self-esteem to kill somebody. My self-esteem is too low to take someone's life.
Did you ever do a prison show?
No, I've never done a prison
hilarious.
show. Oh, yeah?
Hilarious. I remember I had a bit once. I used to do this bit. I'm playing all prisoners. And when you meet a girl, you're not quite sure how to approach her. And a guy goes out, just punch her in the face and fuck her, man. And the whole audience cheers. I realize, okay, thank you, Lefty. That's a very. I mean, it killed me because I realized I've got a cultural mores here. Well, you don't want to be too forward. You don't want to frighten her. You want to appear to be a nice gentleman. And this guy just punched her in the face. It killed me. Just made me laugh.
How many prisons have you played?
A couple, not a lot. I used to do Walpole State Prison in Massachusetts. I did Terminal Island once, and this is like every guy's nightmare. A huge guy comes in. He's got a guy who looks like David Spade on all fours with a choke chain around his neck, and the guy's in his underpants.
Really?
Yeah, and he sits in front, and every time I told the joke, he would kick this guy like his dog. He'd laugh. And the guy would go, ha, 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 ha. And I said, this is not the best audience, really.
That's out here.
Yeah.
And they let that go on in there?
You seem stunned.
I am naive that way.
Yeah. You really think there's a lot of, what's the word, rehabilitation going on, really?
I don't know. Decorum, perhaps?
Yeah, decorum. Yeah, that's what it is.
Wow.
Yeah. Hilarious.
And you volunteer, obviously, to do that. It's not a paid
No,
gig.
it was a job.
Oh, it was a job.
It was a job. The state would pay you $10 to go out and do a show, and
Well, yeah, $10.
the same as like you go read to people in the hospital. Yeah, I would do old people's homes. I remember one day, Bessie, we have a comedian. Bessie, do you like comedians? He's screaming at this woman who's like 5 feet away. She's going, hey, do you like comedians? I'm thinking, okay, this really is not going to work.
But did you find... I took a job doing teaching comedy traffic school.
Right.
And my thought was if I can do 8 hours up on my feet on a Saturday, it'll strengthen some muscle I need to, how bad could 10 minutes at the Ice House be if I'm doing 8 hours,
Right. Well, that worked out
And it was a workout.
Yeah.
I thought of it as like a work. I would imagine playing prisons and old folks' homes is kind of a workout.
Well, the nice thing is,
it's horrible, but it's a workout.
Yeah, but
right?
you don't know how bad you are because the audiences are terrible. They're not listening anyway. So
Right.
it's not like, sometimes it's worse if they're a jazz audience and they're really paying attention and you're not funny. Well, that's the worst one of all. If they're drunk and yelling and, okay, now you're just babysitting.
Right. How many, are you still doing a ton of dates?
Yeah, a lot of dates. You know what's great? There are so many of these old vaudeville houses. I was in Elmira, New York, and something, was it not? Somewhere in Ohio. And they're like 1,500 to 2,500 seat little vaudeville houses. And they're great. They're just great. Write joke, tell joke, get check. It couldn't be simpler. They're so thrilled that you come to their town. What are you doing here? You always get that all the time. God, this is where the people are. But no, I like it. I like it better than doing TV specials. You do TV and they go, cut. Okay, that's very funny. All right, tell the joke the exact same way again. We'll laugh the exact same way.
Right.
Good. Okay, now let's try it again. This time we're not going to laugh quite as much, and let's try it again. Yeah, just...
Yeah, you've never done a special, and I think we've discussed that
I did one
before.
in the 80s, and I owned the master, and then I burned the master, and that was that.
You did one in the 80s?
Yeah, for Showtime, yeah.
Did it air?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was on Showtime.
It did all right. I wasn't thrilled. I didn't like the experience. So.
Well, what is it you didn't like about
Well, you know what it is? I know where my act is. I know if I go to Elmira, New York, I was here 3 years ago. I know what I did then. I won't do that, When you have I remember we had a comedian, I'm not going to say who it was, he came on The Tonight Show, his HBO special had just come out, and he was promoting it. I said, what are you doing? I'm going on the road to promote it. What material are you doing? The same material from the special. Well, next time I saw him, he's like ashen-faced. He goes, oh, man, you were right. Because people just paid money to buy his HBO special. And now they come to see him in a club, and they got to buy a ticket for this. They just heard it.
Right.
And if they're fans, they probably watch it once or twice.
Right.
Now they see you do the exact same thing a third time. Yeah, I mean, he was like stunned. He really didn't realize you had to have new material after you put one of those out.
Who did you see that you really thought, oh, this guy's got it, and it just didn't pan out to the extent that you thought?
And it didn't pan out? Well, no, I can think a lot of people it panned out.
And then others where you were surprised. Like, I don't know why. I was walking around the other day and I was thinking about Fred Travellina. And I remember, I said, I think Jay said Fred Travellina. And
I'll tell you
voices
funny.
from
Fred
back in the day.
Travellina was, I think, the last guy of the old school. Mm-hmm. A tuxedo when he performed, all that kind of stuff,
Died young.
Fred Travellina kept calling Letterman to, can you put me on? Put me on. And Dave, all right, so Dave puts him on, right? And this is exactly the thing Dave hates. So Fred Travellina comes down, sits down, and Dave goes, so how you doing with so-and-so? And Travellina says, well, Dave, with my crazy mind. And Dave, you know my crazy mind. You know how that is. And you see Letterman going, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing Letterman hates, a setup and my crazy mind. And I just watched him just see that. It just really made me laugh.
You must have been hit up all the time to do the show. I mean, Gordon Lightfoot and John Denver. And...
Oh, yeah, get him, everybody. Yeah, my uncle plays the spoons. He's really... You should have my cousin on. He's really funny. What does he do? He's really funny. Well, is he performing anyway? No, just put him on. He's really... No, you can't. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but that's easy with the spoons and the cousin. But other people you opened for, you had relationships with, you're friendly with,
Well, that's my favorite. A comedian called me last year. I had not seen since the 80s. And he said, I want to do the Tonight Show with you. This is while I was still doing it. I said, well, I'll tell you what, let me have Jimmy Brogan. All the guys come down and watch the act. He goes, whoa, what's that all about? What do you mean watch my act?
Go down to the club and do like a showcase.
Yeah, just show us the material you're going to do. He goes, you know my material. I said, is it the same material? He goes, yeah. Okay, first of all, it's 40 years ago. You can't do the same material. And he goes, oh, man, you changed. No, I can't just put you on because I said, I got Billy Crystal tomorrow. You know what Billy did today? He went over everything he was going to say, and we got it down how we're going to do it, okay? He goes, yeah. I mean, it was just the stupidest conversation I ever had.
Do you find that a lot of comedians are lazy, and that's sort of what attracted
I think I'm
them
lazy,
to it?
so I don't know.
Well, there's an interesting thing. Dennis Prager, bless Dennis Prager, but he thinks of himself as lazy, so he overcompensates by writing books and working all the time.
Well, that's why I like doing the show every day, because it took up every second of my day. Because I know if I did the show once a week and I wanted to take an hour off or something, I would feel guilty. Like, I could have been doing the show every day. If the show sucked, I got another one tomorrow. It's like raising laboratory mice. Another Who generation will be wrong tomorrow, and I can move quickly from one to another. So, and in that case, it was actually good. It took up all my time. I'd write joke, pencils down. We got to go. We're going in 5 minutes. Okay, fine, pencils down. Let's go. And then you just try to make it work. Mm-hmm. But at least I could always, in my own mind, go, well, I did the best I could. And if it was once a week, you took Sunday off.
So you think of yourself as lazy?
Yeah, I do, actually.
But we're back to low self-esteem.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's benefited you a lot.
Yeah, of course. Comics are like that. These are the socks I wore when I had the first Tonight Show. You're still wearing them. That's right. Guys do that all the time.
Yeah, I know. You're not lazy because when you're not working, you're physically fixing something down at the shop, right?
I guess so.
And fiddling with stuff. You haven't had an incident in a while.
No, I haven't had any accidents for a while.
Do you have the board up at the shop? Days since Jay's let himself on fire.
Actually, I just had like 2 or 3 incidents, and they all happened in the last couple of years. But before that, I never had any problem.
Yeah, you had the fire, you had the clothesline, and you had the rolling down the hill.
Rolling down the hill. The funny thing about that rolling down the hill? I go on the internet, and there are a group of guys doing the Jay Leno challenge. They don't believe I really got hurt. So these guys throw themselves down the same hill. One guy broke his arm.
Really?
So stupid.
Well, the clotheslining one felt like that stung the most to me because you were on a trike, right? Oh, not trike, but a side hack.
Side hack, yeah. 1941 Indian 4, yeah.
And they just put the cable in front of the
and I just
lot.
had a brand new face, and I had to call my face guy. I need another face. I told the new face. Oh, you did? Yeah, come in and get another face. Okay, so I did.
And with the fire, you spent the first night at home, right?
Well, my wife was having the Alzheimer's and stuff, so I could not go home. So I went to the hospital, and they said, we got to check in right now. I said, guys, my wife's by herself. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't answer the phone. So I go home, and you get your face is hot, right? So I said, okay, I'm sleeping. Then I wake up the next morning, and the pillow is melded into my face. So
right.
I'm like, I'm pulling pieces of pillow out. So I get to the hospital. I'm like this with pillow pieces stuck in my face, and they're like, yeah, it was pretty funny.
Is so for you? Do you have a retirement plan? Is there thoughts? Like I'm sort of curious when people go, I'm super curious about this. Like you ever hang out with a fireman and it'll be some guy who's 50 and fit as hell, and he'll go, I'm retiring this year, and I go, why?
Yeah,
Why?
exactly,
You're strong, you're fit, because you can.
No, I will retire when I have my stroke. That's usually how it works.
You're just going to go.
When you go, yeah, when you can't talk anymore, okay, that's how you go.
Yeah, because what are you retiring from?
Exactly. I'm telling jokes. Please, people. Look, I do this for free. I mean, it's fun telling funny stories. So if you can get paid for it, why not?
What's your next car excursion? Where are you going? What are you doing?
Next car excursion. What am I doing? I just was working on my 1918 Stutz Bearcat. So I'll put that together and drive it home tonight.
And your turbine car, where the old timers put the engine back together again.
That's a great story. It's like the movie Cocoon, all these old guys.
From 62, 63?
From 60 to 62. Those were the engineers. The Chrysler built a turbine car. They built 55. The program closed down. The engineers are all told to burn their plans and throw them away, and whatever, because they're engineers. They don't do that. So when my car broke down, I called Williams Turbines out of Detroit, and I said,
how many of those cars exist?
6.
6.
Yeah, they built 55, about 6, maybe 3 run. And we found 60 guys all over the age of 80 that worked on the original project, and they said, we'll build you a new motor, you just pay for the parts, right? And it was like the movie Cocoon. One guy was in a wheelchair, just hopelessly kind of twisted, but he's sharp as a tack, remembered every piece of this turbine engine, how it went, specifications. The regenerators had to drill 22,000 holes in the regenerators. And his idea was, we're going to make them octagon this time. That'll get the heat moving fast. I mean, just all kinds of. It was fascinating. They did a wonderful, wonderful job. And the sad thing was, every week another one would pass away, because they're old, 94, 91, 88.
But they put the motor back in the car.
And it's running now.
And you took it down the Dream Cruise?
Yeah, I took it on a Dream Cruise twice. It's still in Detroit now. I've got it on display, and it'll probably come back in another month or so.
I love that story. And I always use it as an example, which is sort of politically, when people talk about, well, we got a new form of socialism or it's like, listen, the internal combustion engine, that's what works. And I go, I always use your car. I go, but they had a turbine car. That was going to be the future, but it just didn't work.
Well, it did work.
Well, I mean, it worked. But
the trouble was, you cannot clean up a jet. It's the dirtiest kind of engine there is. And they knew by 1968 emissions were coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got this project. You forget, Chrysler stopped building the Hemi, and they built the 440 instead, because the 440 was $5 an engine cheaper to make. And when you're making 2 million cars a year, that's $10 million in savings. So every dollar, and a turbine, although it has fewer moving parts, the parts that move are extremely exotic. The metals, it's 1,400 degrees, So they're very expensive to produce. And the turbine car probably would have sold for no less than $7,000 when the Cadillac was $4,500. So it was never really a viable project.
But a really cool piece.
Cool piece.
And a great sound.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, you have a turbine motorcycle as well.
Yeah, I got the turbine motorcycle.
That's the craziest one. All right. I'm going to be in Albuquerque September 26th at the Chemo Theater, and then off to the Orpheum Theater in Flagstaff doing stand-up. Jay's got his wonderful products now at Walmart.
Right. I'm supposed to be somewhere now, but I'm stuck here.
YouTube channel, Jay Leno's Garage. Yeah. Always great. Always great to see you, my friend.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
All right.
Till next time, Adam Kroll for Jay Leno saying mahalo.